Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Low Rollers Live, a Dungeons & Dragons live adventure. I, as always, am your host, Danny Allinson, playing the role of Bryn Wanders. And with me here today, Jonathan Edwards as Narroth, Prince of Thieves.
Hello.
Danny Garcia playing Astor Mithlader.
Hiya.
We have Rachael Murphy playing Isgrim Barazon.
Hello, hello.
We have Alan Seymour playing Lady Lilith von Kiln.
Howdy.
Robert Seitz as Zarrius, servant of Obad-hai.
Good evening.
And our wonderful DM, Christopher Rondeau. Chris, why don't you get us caught up?
Oh, but who do you play, Danny? Oh, okay. Speaking of wandering, that is basically what our party is doing right now. We have left the city of Vienna after having a very, very long night, or a couple days actually, involving the legend of Conrad seeming not to be so much a legend. A fierce battle was waged between Conrad and his undead forces, supposedly powered by some void being known as a Dom, against our heroes and the forces of Vienna. Upon finishing that mission, the party has set off south to try to make contact with House of Lady Silyana. And that's where we're going to pick up this week. We see the party traveling on what appears to be some sort of flightless yellow bird. And since it is the beginning of a new chapter, we're going to do character introductions again. So, why don't we have Zarrius start us off? Zarrius, why don't you describe how you look on this yellow bird? And
Well, I don't think I look that frightened based on the picture, but I'm Zarrius, servant of Obad-hai. I'm a 3'2" tall gnome tiefling, very dark red in color. Hold on one second. I have two horns that are on my head. They're rather short and pointy, as seen in the picture that you see in front of you. And I wear a green tunic, brown trousers, medium build, a little bit on the stronger side, not like a normal gnome that you might think of. You don't really see it too much on this picture, but there's a whip that he carries on his side. His staff is probably around his shoulders on his back, as he would be trying to steer the bird. He would want to have his hands free. He's got a scar on his the side of his face, on the left side. And it runs down from about his eye down to his mouth from a previous battle. He's got a rounded end red tail that's been burned, seared off, so that's why it's round and nubbed. And then he's got a few little cutouts on one of the sides from a previous character's Tesla cannon that Zarrius came into contact with. He usually wears a hood over his head, but the wind is moving so fast that it's blowing his hood off of his head. Yeah, he would probably be having a pretty darn good time flying this bird around.
And we'll go to Isgrim next.
Nice. That picture is amazing. So Isgrim is a snow dwarf or an ice dwarf. He's pale of skin. His hair is a light slate blue. He wears basically heavy leather armor. Well, it's, yeah. A lot of it is actually kind of just shaggy fur that deflects things. And he usually has a shield with him that he can protect with, and his weapon of choice is actually an ice pick. So think of like climbers that like climb Everest, and they have the pick that they use in the wall to help them up. So yeah, that's him. He's stocky build, and he has his horse Butterscotch.
Let's go to Lady Lilith von Kiln.
Okay. Lilith is she's a human female. She's got short blonde pixie hair. She's about 5'8". She wears blue and silver breastplate armor now. Around her neck, you can see the blue gear, symbol of Arathis. At her waist, she has a it looks sort of like a mace, but it's a little smaller with 6 different colored buttons on the handle. On her back is a shield emblazoned with the symbol of an eye. She sort of carries herself, upright, riding, like a proper noble woman. It's just how she was raised. She also is probably not comfortable on this bird because it's a bird, not a horse. So she's probably a little skittish in the saddle.
Narroth, Prince of Thieves.
Narroth is what you would typically think of as sort of a dragon man. He is a typical humanoid, a little taller than most people, but very much the same in most respects, except for the fact that instead of squishy skin like most have, he is covered from head to toe in red dragon scales. Now, he also has a tail that right now he is trying very hard to keep in a good position while he's riding on this bird thing. It's looking very awkward. And you can see from under his blue cloak or tunic that there is a red dagger on his hip. Now, currently, Narroth would be trying to stay upright on this thing as best he can, as he would find this very awkward.
Perfect. Bryn wanders.
All right. Bryn Wanders is a 5'4" tiefling who seems to be in her late teens. She's about 125 pounds with a runner's build. She has coral-colored skin and horns, purple eyes, and short cream-colored hair. 2 earrings are in her right ear, not on the lobe, but further up on the auricle. They seem to be made of bone and are dyed blue and white. On her back, she carries a lever-action rifle, and a 6-shooter pistol is on a holster on her left-hand side. She wears a blue halter top with leather armor covering her torso and her arms, and a jacket sits over the top of that, which seems to be lined with this black, shimmering fur. A dagger is also on her belt on the right side, which appears to be in a bad shape. Doesn't look like it's been very well maintained over the years. And her face is almost always bright and cheery, and she's probably not even on the bird. She's probably skipping next to her bird or walking along with everybody else.
And Astor Mithlader.
Astor is a male half-elf of average height. He has a trim body with flexible muscles from being both a musician and an acrobatic performer. He has a light tan skin color with shoulder-length brown hair, which is tied back into a ponytail, and he has green eyes. One physical trait that stands out for Astor is that he has a burn wound on the skin surrounding his left eye, which we haven't covered this during this particular adventure, but it was caused by a fireball by Moradin, who is currently now a warp god. Astor wears half-plate armor over his simple traveler's garbs. The armor is a single plate covering his torso, which is also black in appearance. It has dark red ornamentation on the edges of the plate with prayers of protection written in the Elvish language. Under the armor, he wears a dark-colored tunic which goes down to his knees. He has a light white shirt underneath, as well as wearing form-fitting pants on his legs. He also has brown leather boots, which are perfect for traveling. And he also sports an engagement ring on his ring finger of his left hand. And he also carries a lute on his back, and his weapon is odd in the sense that it is Dab, who is an archfey just traveling with the group.
Perfect. So we've been traveling from Vienna. The trip is going to take you about 4 days from Vienna to the city of Daineth. The Daineth is the border town in between the forest, which Lady Solyana occupies, and then the land that is supposedly owned from Vienna. So to get into the forest, it was recommended to the party by the Flaming Furnace Trio to stop by this town, see what it will take to get entry, because it is normally a very closed border. But yeah, we have about 4 or 5 days to basically talk to each other. At this moment, we're seeing pretty good weather. It will rain lightly every once in a while, but it is not heavy enough to be impeding, and through your body heat, you don't really stay wet for very long once the rain stops. It is considered very mild weather to the lot of you who travels a lot. If you don't travel a lot, it may be a little confusing to you, as rain is to all Californians, so take that as you will. Yeah, so we have 4 or 5 days before we reach Daineth. We can either montage the scenery a little bit, or you guys can have some scenes if you would like, so let me know. Anyone want to talk to anyone in particular?
Astor would like to speak to Dav.
Dav is probably riding on Bryn's bird, because since Bryn has opted to walk most of the trip. And right now it seems like out of everyone, with maybe the exception of Iskrim and Butterscotch, Dav is the best rider of the group as far as these birds are concerned.
Gotcha. So what Astor is going, well, he's going to approach Dav, and he's actually going to pull out the flute that he got from Lilith. And while they're riding, he's going to do his best to not fall over while holding it with one hand. But he is going to ask Dav, hey, I was wondering, do you have any clue as to how this instrument might work magically?
She looks at it. With her telepathic link, she goes into your head. She's like, this is natural plane magic. I have no idea what this is.
Damn. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but the flute is one of the instruments that you enjoy playing, right?
Yeah, I played flutes in the Feywild for a little bit. I mostly play the pan flutes, but it's not anything like this. But I can play it, I guess.
Oh, that's better than I could hope. I was actually wondering if you might be able to give me some tips on how to learn this instrument, since I don't really play anything that requires air.
Okay, well, if that's the case, she's gonna go through the breathing gym with you, and but yeah, it's gonna be mostly a lot of controlling airflow. Yeah, it probably also helps benefit you just overall as far as the proper pacing of your breath, even when it comes to walking and exercising, that sort of thing. But yeah, that could happen.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the flute.
Cool.
Narroth is also going to want to have a scene with Dav, probably right after, while she's teaching Astor.
So, you see her like doing weird stretches with Astor and like snapping her fingers, and she's kind of like mouthing counting, but you can't actually hear it. And I'm going to assume Astor is getting a little lightheaded.
You want me to roll for that?
No. But sure, yeah, you can find her.
Okay, I'm going to walk up beside Dav and try to initiate telepathic communication. Can I do that?
You can try.
I'm going to try.
Okay, yeah, you succeed.
Perfect. All right, Narroth is going to basically look at Dav and say that, or think that magic, that lake back there, it was old, ancient, and very primal.
Yes, I guess.
Is that what your world is like?
I'm assuming you're asking about the Feywild.
Yes.
That's a very apt description of what it's like. It is very much a place of power, maybe not so much primal as I believe what people here would call the arcane, but a lot of it is full of magical presence. It's lovely there.
Now, Narroth probably hasn't heard many things about the Feywild, and many of them are probably false. So Narroth is going to look up and say, is it true that there are forests there where you make your homes?
There is a section of forest there. We call it the Springwoods.
And how ancient exactly are these woods?
Oh, older than anything that's still standing here. You're thinking 30,000 years?
Narroth kind of, his eyes glaze over. He doesn't really understand that kind of number.
Yeah, I mean, the gods have been around for a very long time, and the world has just expanded since they have come into being.
Narroth nods. So this was there before the gods.
The land was there, but life wasn't.
I see. So how did life begin then?
Well, I could tell you how my life began, but I don't know if that's an appropriate story.
Narroth would laugh out loud and think back. No, probably not. But how, in a world of lifelessness, can life spring into being? Doesn't all life come from other life?
How much would Dav actually know? I'm gonna roll intelligence check. She knows everything.
Teach me.
It's like, well, the Azamar, who I guess you guys would know as the Azamar, you're thinking Paylor, prestigious Paylor, and even like Conniving Killian, they both came from a center source somewhere in the galaxy. I don't know what that life form is, but they sent the Azamar to various places, and they were able to create life. Pan and the Feywild created the Archfey, and the other gods that you know, Coralon, Saloon, Palor created the gods on this plane.
Narroth kind of nods slowly. So somehow one life came up and then made more.
Yeah, I don't know much about the original creator personally, I'm sorry.
Narroth shrugs. I just thought you would have some insight. I know there are places that my imagination cannot fathom, but that place seemed like it would be akin to a home to you.
Yeah, I came from Pan, and Pan created all the Archfey, and then from the Archfey came the Eladrin, it came the gnomes. So everyone doesn't actually hear this conversation, but I'm assuming everyone can see Dav's dramatic hand motions. So when he says gnomes, he points to Zarrius, which probably confuses everyone. Some of the other things, they have the courts, the coral courts, the Feydark, those sort of beings. It's amazing that Pan was able to do so much, but it did not start with him, and that original source is fairly unknown to me, at least. You should ask Pan, but I don't think he'll tell you the truth.
Narroth is going to raise an eyebrow and look over visibly towards Dav. The gods will lie to you?
Oh, I don't know. I can't speak for all the gods, but Pan will certainly lie to you.
Narroth shakes his head. Why? What benefit would it give him?
I would say you can ask him, but he'd also probably lie to you about that.
Narroth shrugs. I see. At this point, Narroth is going to kind of trail off a little bit and let this silence hang in the air.
Dav is going to go back to doing the breathing gym with Astor, who's probably very confused about why the instruction stopped. I would imagine.
It's
But
just
thankful for the break.
Sorry?
But thankful for the break.
Probably.
Cool. Does that end the scene for now?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. Anything else?
Cricket.
Okay, that about sums it up. So you're traveling for about 5 days. You're going over these the plains of the land of House Steiner. You can see the lake slowly coming or disappearing into the distance, and the forest that feels so ancient and old coming closer to you as you head forward and follow this road to Daineth. Let me switch over to the map real quick. So, a couple things. It is very likely that Eastgrim probably passed through Daineth on his way to Vienna. Quite potentially, that could have been a route he took. Daineth is here, technically. And we'll arrive into Daineth after about 5 days of travel. You guys are like saddle sore. You know, I mean, for the exception of the people who's used to traveling a lot, you guys are probably pretty tired. While the weather has been nice to you, it's still 5 days of traveling. Well, would you guys like to do anything before you enter Daineth?
Just real quick, remind me what time of year it is.
Perfect. We are going into. Why can't I think about what comes after? We're coming into spring. Like think of like March, like it is currently around that time.
Cool.
I don't know why I couldn't think of March because it's anyway. Anything else?
Not from me.
Not from me.
Not from me.
Nope.
Nah.
We enter into the very small town of Daineth, and it's I wrote in my notes quaint. It is pretty pretty small. It is definitely has the attributes of a crossroads town. And a couple things of note would probably be the farms that you see before you even see the first building. You travel about 10 minutes, and all you pass by are farms that seem to be creating what I guess the best way to describe it is it smells like oregano. You have this sense of spices being grown in this area. And eventually you find yourself wandering into the very quaint town of Daineth.
So the farms are like a 10-minute ride from the center of town?
Just one more time, sorry?
The farms are 10 minutes outside town. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so it takes you about 10 minutes to get from the start of the farms to town.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you're coming in from the north.
What are we seeing as far as like what kinds of people are living around here? What are they currently doing? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so well, mostly you see people farming, and they appear to be mostly blue tieflings. Once in a while, you will see a water genasi out there. She's ironically, they are watering the fields, doing that sort of work. But you don't really see much besides farmers at this point. You enter town, and it's early afternoon. You're thinking like 1, 2 o'clock, and as you wander in.
All right. Do we see anything resembling an inn?
Yeah.
Which building is it?
So you see an inn coming up from right from entering called the Trusty Devil. It is a 3-story inn, and you can tell that the first story appears to have people in at their lunch hour, or what you would guess is their lunch hour if modern time clocks existed. So you have people coming in, they're just eating, maybe getting a quick drink, and they're heading back out to the farms, and then coming back in, you know, a variation of those things.
Astor turns back towards the party and says, "Well, this looks like a place we could spend a night or two. What do you guys think?"
Narroth is going to nod. Anything to get off of this saddle.
Yeah.
Iskrim looks around, taking in all of the sights, and just kind of, he nods his assent too. He finds it peaceful here, just from looking at it right now.
Yeah, I don't mind staying a day or two.
Great. I'm glad we all agree. So, shall we make this our first stop?
Sure.
Cool. As a reminder, the Flaming Furnace Trio said that most people don't get access to the forest, so something that happens in this town will hopefully grant you permission to go in. You guys enter the inn known as the Trusty Devil, and you sit there and you see a bartender. He is a blue tiefling. He appears to be passing out the drinks. He goes behind there and he's passing out stews for the people coming in. This place is exceptionally clean. Think of if someone was to drop something, it was cleaned up immediately by this innkeeper. He shows this place as sort of his pride and joy. You can tell just by the way he's serving, his hospitality, his attentiveness to detail, that this is just what he wants to do. You walk in, you see a fireplace roaring, and most of these people are sitting by the fireplace. Slightly rainy, so they're trying to basically dry up. Atop of this fireplace, there appears to be a long sword placed on a mantle above the fireplace. There's some basic pictures as well. It appears to be pictures of famous fighters of this area. None of them stand out to this particular party, and there's a few people sitting around, but most of them appear to be finishing up the meal to head out. There's also a stable that's attached to this inn if you would like to stable your animals.
Yes.
That's probably what we would have done first, actually.
That's fine.
Yes, I would definitely walk the bird over.
Perfect. So there are 6 open stalls. Well, there's like 10 open stalls, but you can put your birds in there, and I guess you can arrange it with the bartender to get them housed for the evening.
Perfect. I would probably end up just going inside then and going to the bartender and be like, hey, are you also the innkeeper, or where can we find the person running the inn?
Welcome to the Trusty Devil. Oh, I haven't seen a group of people quite like you guys, but that's perfect. Yes, I run this establishment. We can get you set up with rooms, with some food, with some warm baths. You just tell us what you want. We also have a special of apple pie if you would like some of that today.
Ooh, that would be very, very pleasant. Thank you for your hospitality. I also wanted to let you know, sir, that we have housed our steed in the stable. So there are 6 of us, so there's 6 stalls. If we need to pay for any of the amenities here, we'll be more than happy to take care of that.
Oh, of course. We can get you guys some oats for your animals. Just let me get through this lunch hour, let me get you served, and we can get you settled in with rooms and stable, or get your mounts proper food.
I don't think our mounts eat oats.
I know.
Oh, well, what kind of mounts do you? Oh, you have the birds. Yes, they eat a type of leaf. We have plenty of that in stock.
Oh, perfect. But I think for right now, I think we would like to enjoy a nice hot meal, since we haven't had one of those in a little while.
They don't enjoy my cooking.
Oh, that's a
Who
shame. I'm
said
sure
that?
you're an excellent cook.
Who said that? You're fine. It's just not as hot as this place probably serves it.
Astor
That was in character.
Yes, it was.
At this point, Narroth is going to walk away from the party and explore the rest of the tavern area.
The tavern? specifically?
Yes.
Perfect. This place is fairly large. It seats about 20 tables, though, based on the size of the town, you can't imagine that many tables ever actually being filled up at any given time. But everything, as you sort of look at the tables, you look at the wood, it appears to be well taken care of. It seems like while there is signs of damage, the damage has been quickly repaired. There's also a sense that some of these tables and chairs are more recently made than other ones. So this seems to be a place of constant renovation. To get up to the rooms, you would need a key, though, to basically access that first door.
Understood. What you mentioned, there was a lot of people that are here to eat lunch and that sort of thing. Does anyone stand out?
Yeah, there are a few people who stand out, but most of the people at this point in time seems to be heading back towards the farmlands. There a lot of these people are walking in, ordering a quick bowl. 10 minutes later, they're gone, and you can sort of feel their urgency. There we go. That's a good word. Their urgency to do that. So while you can approach a few of them and try to make conversation, it doesn't last very long. It's always like, oh, hey, you're an interesting creature. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. If you come back in a few hours, we'll be here for dinner, and we can talk more then. And then they're basically out the door.
Like trying to talk to someone during rush hour traffic, just not,
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. You also notice that a lot of these people don't appear to be paying. Someone comes in and the barkeep would take out a ledger of some sort and make a note of who comes in and who doesn't.
Okay. So Lilith is going to approach somebody about the rooms.
Yeah, the only person who is running this thing is the innkeeper, and he is in the middle of rush hour. If you want to try to interrupt him, that's cool, but he is coming out with food for the party at this moment.
Okay.
I'll just go ahead and wait for the food.
I would have mentioned to Lilith, he's in charge. He will be taking care of our rooms once he's done serving everyone in this establishment.
So a few minutes pass and everyone gets food. It comes into a reasonable sized bowl. There appears to be potatoes and some sort of meat in it. The aroma is very fragrant. You smell spices, as you can kind of tell from all the farmlands going out there. It appears to be mutton of some sort. It is very savory. There doesn't appear to be any bone in it as well, so a lot of people are just sort of picking it up, slurping it, and leaving. Since you guys did seem to be staying longer, he also provides you with some, like a couple loaves of bread and some cheese on the side, and maybe some like sliced pear. And everything appears to be pretty. I mean, it's not the best quality of food that this party has had, but it's fairly good for what you see of the town.
Is the innkeeper a tiefling as well?
Correct. He is a blue tiefling. He is pretty tall. He's about 6 foot tall, and he is mostly running around in like a cooking apron, as well as like washcloths like all around his thing, where he's constantly wiping his hands as he serves.
When he comes and brings us by the food, Bryn will stop him for just a moment and say, "Mr. Innkeeper."
Yes. Hi. My name is Cage.
Oh, that's all I wanted to know.
Oh, okay. Do you need anything else? You guys want some drinks? We don't have a lot of choices, but we have some mead. We have some red berry juice that just came in recently. We have some options.
Do your thing, Mr. Cage. We'll pick up what we need once you're not so busy.
Cool. And as you guys eat the meal, the mutton is very, very spicy in the sense that there's a lot of spices in it, which sort of is a good contrast to the broth that doesn't necessarily appear to be much more than some sort of beef broth or mutton broth or something like that. There's potatoes and celery and carrots in it, so it's fairly decent. But as another 20 minutes goes by, he does clear up and he takes a quick breather and drinks from a cup of some sort of liquid and takes a deep breath before he begins to take out a rag and start cleaning some of the mess.
How bad is the mess?
It's not terrible. I mean, it's mostly just bowls and like crumbs on the table.
Bryn will start like stacking bowls that are left over.
Yeah, Cage will walk over to the table. It's like, oh no, that's okay. I'll take care of it. You are guests here. Seems like you've been traveling from a long time. If you have these bird creatures, you probably came from Vienna. You know, just take it easy. We heard that there is some bad news that happened there at the Festival of Returning Light.
Bryn will look over at her party.